In 1998, David Letterman read out his top 10 list of pranks you could play in space. Number 8 on that list was paste a Hyundai logo on the main control panel. The audience laughed. America laughed. The joke wrote itself because the punchline was obvious. Nobody trusted a Hyundai with anything important. Today, Hyundai Motor Group is the third largest automaker on the planet. Its luxury brand beat Lexus in independent quality rankings. Its electric platform left Volkswagen's engineers scrambling for a response. Its factory in Georgia is building 500,000 vehicles a year on American soil. And while the rest of the automotive world spent the last decade chasing trends, Hyundai was executing a plan that almost nobody in the Western press saw coming. This is not a story about a scrappy underdog getting lucky. It is a story about one of the most deliberate industrial takeovers in modern history. A family dynasty that weaponized humiliation, a corporate culture that treats speed as a survival instinct, and a country that decided its entire economic future would be built on wheels. I have spent 26 years working across Asia. What I am about to show you is not the version of this story you read in automotive trade journals. It is the version that explains why the people running Toyota, Volkswagen and General Motors are paying very close attention to Seoul. Because Hyundai is no longer catching up to the world is catching up to Hyundai, and most people still have no idea how it happened. It started with a car that barely worked. In February 1986, Hyundai entered the American market with the Excel, priced at a base price of $4,995. The low-price strategy worked immediately. Hyundai sold more cars in its first year in the United States than any other brand before it, moving 168,882 units. It was a record. It was also a disaster in slow motion. The Excel was mechanically based on the Mitsubishi Colt. It looked fine on the surface, but customers discovered very quickly what they had actually bought. Excels were prone to quality control problems and frequently needed parts replaced. Sales tanked, and Hyundai became a laughingstock. One car reviewer, reflecting on the 1986 model years later, called it the worst motor vehicle sold in America during the final quarter of the 20th century. Talk show host David Letterman became the most noted brand disparager. He compared Hyundai to the aging, accident-ravaged Russian Mir space station and included pasting a Hyundai logo on a spacecraft's control panel in his list of top space pranks. The acronym joke spread. Hyundai stood for, "Hope you understand nothing's drivable and inexpensive." By the mid-1990s, the brand's reputation in America was not just damaged, it was radioactive. Sales tanked. Rather than abandon the American market in the 1990s, Hyundai chose to invest heavily in new product designs and improvements in quality and reliability. But the investment was going nowhere fast enough. The perception gap was too wide. Consumer Reports kept filing damning reports. Dealers were struggling to close sales. The brand needed something radical. Not a new model, a new identity. What it got instead was a new chairman, and he arrived in 1999 with a plan that the entire industry thought was insane. When the Hyundai conglomerate split in 1999, Chung Mung-koo took over the automotive division. He was not a smooth, Western-educated executive with a McKinsey playbook. He was an engineer by temperament, the son of the founder, and he had watched the brand he inherited become a global joke. He took it personally. Chung walked factory floors unannounced. He stopped production lines. He demanded to know who was responsible when a door panel did not fit. He set up a global quality situation room that monitored customer complaints in real time. 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. In 1999, the company established this monitoring system to ensure issues were resolved immediately. Then he did something that made financial analysts question his judgment. In 1998, Chung launched what Hyundai billed as America's best warranty. All new Hyundai vehicles sold in the United States came with 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain protection. No other mainstream brand was anywhere close to that number. The warranty was not a marketing device. It was a trap Chung set for his own engineers. If the cars broke, Hyundai would pay for it. Every single claim would come out of the company's own pocket. The pressure to build better vehicles was no longer aspirational. It was financial. The strategy worked. The 100,000-mile warranty is credited with improving Hyundai's US sales by 80%. In 1999, JD Power ranked Hyundai among the worst automakers for initial quality. By 2004, it had climbed to tied for second alongside Honda. In 5 years, from the worst to second, the same brand that Letterman put on his joke list. If you found this useful so far, hit subscribe, because what comes next is where the story gets genuinely strange. Hyundai did not just fix its cars, it went to Europe and started buying the people who designed the most beautiful ones. Quality was the flaw. Chung knew it was not enough. You could build a reliable car and still be invisible. To matter in the global premium market, Hyundai needed design credibility, and it had none. So the company decided to buy it by hiring some of the most respected names in European automotive design and bringing them to Seoul. Peter Schreier, born in Bavaria and the designer of the iconic Audi TT, became Chief Design Officer at Kia in 2006. This was not a polite consulting arrangement. Schreier moved to Korea and took direct control of the product design pipeline. He single-handedly turned Kia into a design powerhouse. Then in 2015, Hyundai went further. It assembled what designers described as a European dream team, poaching Luc Donkerwolke, a VW Group designer who had spent his career designing Audis, Bentleys, and Lamborghinis. Alongside him came Albert Biermann, then VP of Engineering at BMWM. The man who had spent decades calibrating some of the most respected performance vehicles in the world was now sitting in a design studio in South Korea. In 2022, a jury of 102 journalists across 33 countries named Donkerwolke the World Car Person of the Year for his impact on the automotive industry. Think about what Hyundai actually did here. It did not hire Western consultants to advise from a distance. It brought the architects of German prestige inside its own building and gave them the budget to rebuild from the ground up. The cars that came out of that decision, the Ioniq 5, the Genesis G80, and the Kia EV6, do not look like budget Korean cars. They look like the future of European design. Because they were drawn by the same hands that shaped it. Quality brought customers back. Design made them want to stay. While European automakers were still debating how to convert their existing platforms to electric, Hyundai was already building a factory in its head. The EGMP, or Electric Global Modular Platform, was not an adaptation. Unlike past electric platforms that relied on a design built for internal combustion engines, the EGMP was tailored specifically for EVs from the ground up. The implications were enormous. No engine, no drive shaft, a completely flat floor. A cabin that could be configured in ways no traditional car could match. A key factor that made the Ioniq 5 and its sibling, the Kia EV6, so compelling was the 800-volt architecture. This had previously appeared only on more expensive cars like the Porsche Taycan and Audi e-tron GT, but never on mainstream vehicles at this price point. The Ioniq 5 could charge from 10 to 80% in 18 minutes. The engineering decisions embedded in that platform were not just clever, they were disciplined in a way that revealed how much Hyundai had learned from its quality crisis years. Hyundai's engineers reused the inverter's existing hardware to enable 800-volt fast charging compatibility, even when connected to 400-volt infrastructure, eliminating the need for an external voltage converter and reducing cost, complexity, and weight. While Porsche needed a dedicated high-voltage boost converter for the same capability, Hyundai achieved it by modifying the control logic of components already in the car. The Ioniq 5 launched in 2021. It won World Car of the Year, it won World Electric Vehicle of the Year, it won Car Design of the Year, simultaneously. Ford was still arguing about badge placement. But here is what nobody in the press was paying attention to while the design awards were rolling in. In 2015, Hyundai took a brand that nobody associated with luxury and decided to turn it into one. Genesis had existed as a nameplate inside Hyundai since 2008, used for a premium sedan that received the North American Car of the Year award in 2009. In 2015, Genesis became a fully standalone luxury brand. Hyundai was not positioning it as a premium Korean option. It was going directly to Lexus, BMW, and Mercedes. The initial reaction from the industry was polite skepticism. Luxury is not just about engineering. It is about heritage, association, and decades of carefully constructed brand perception. You do not manufacture that with a press release and a new logo. Hyundai chose to ignore that logic and manufacture it with talent, investment, and time. Donkervolk's design language gave Genesis a visual identity that had nothing apologetic about it. The GV80 Coupe delivered exceptional growth of 166% in its second year in market in 2025. Genesis is targeting 350,000 units annually by 2030 and is expanding into India, the United States and Europe while competing at Le Mans. As Hyundai's president and CEO José Muñoz put it directly, Genesis achieved in 10 years what took other luxury brands decades. By 2019, J.D. Power ranked Genesis, Kia and Hyundai first, second and third, respectively, in initial quality. All three positions, occupied by a company that 18 years earlier had been the punchline on American late-night television. The luxury brands that spent decades building their reputations are now competing against a company that built one in a decade. And the gap is narrowing every year. To understand why Hyundai moves so fast, you have to understand the structure of the machine that drives it. South Korea runs on chaebols. These are vast family-controlled industrial conglomerates that operate across dozens of subsidiaries, bound together by cross-shareholding arrangements so complex they effectively make hostile takeovers impossible. Hyundai Motor Group is one of the largest. Although Chung Mong-koo holds only 5.2% of Hyundai Motor's stock, he wields disproportionately strong control. Hyundai Motor owns 34% of Kia, which owns 16.9% of Mobi's, which in turn owns 20.8% of Hyundai Motor. Because the companies essentially control each other, no outside shareholder is strong enough to appoint board members. What this means in practice is that Hyundai can make decisions that a publicly accountable Western company structurally cannot. When Chung Mong-koo decided to put the entire warranty budget on the line in 1999, no shareholder revolt stopped him. When the group decided to hire Albert Biermann from BMW M and give him a blank sheet, no quarterly earnings call forced a compromise. When the EGMP investment required billions in capital expenditure with a 5-year horizon before meaningful return, the structure absorbed it. The chaebol model is not without cost. It concentrates power in ways that courts have repeatedly challenged. Chung was arrested in 2006 on charges related to embezzlement and was convicted in 2007, though he was subsequently pardoned by the South Korean president to allow him to continue contributing to the Korean economy. The governance risks are real and recurring, but the speed advantage the model produces is equally real. Decisions that would take 18 months in a Western boardroom get made in Seoul in a week. That gap in reaction time is worth more than most analysts account for. And in 2024, when the electric vehicle market shifted, it turned out to be the most valuable asset Hyundai had. In 2023 and into 2024, the consensus view across the automotive industry was clear. The future was pure electric, and it was arriving faster than expected. Every major manufacturer was restructuring around that assumption. Ford's EV division absorbed billions in losses pursuing it. Volkswagen closed factories in Germany, trying to fund the transition. Stellantis watched its valuation collapse while trying to manage the shift. Then consumers started hesitating. Charging infrastructure remained uneven. Interest rates made monthly payments painful. The used EV market softened. Pure EV sales growth decelerated, and every automaker that had bet entirely on the electric transition found itself exposed. Hyundai had been quietly preparing for exactly this scenario. In 2025, hybrid vehicles accounted for a 36% jump in US sales. Globally, Hyundai sold 961,812 electrified vehicles, a 27% year-over-year increase, with hybrids leading the growth. In North America alone, hybrid growth came in at 52%. In Central and South America, it was 293%. The next generation TME D2 hybrid system delivered 4.3% better fuel efficiency while enabling rear-wheel drive luxury applications. Hyundai's hybrid model range is set to expand from 8 to 18 models by 2030, with North America driving most of this growth. This pivot did not happen in 2024. The preparation for it started years earlier, when Hyundai's chaebol structure allowed a decision to hedge on multiple powertrains simultaneously, while competitors locked themselves into a single path. Pure-play EV rivals had no hybrid product to fall back on. Legacy manufacturers had hybrid products, but had publicly committed to winding them down. Hyundai had both, and when the market moved, it was already selling exactly what customers wanted. The tariffs did not catch Hyundai by surprise. They caught Hyundai while it was already building the response. In 2025, US tariffs became a significant factor in Hyundai's financial results. Net profit fell 21.7% year-over-year to 10.36 trillion won, despite record-high annual revenue of 186.3 trillion won, up 6.3%. The numbers tell a precise story. The revenue machine kept running. The margin got squeezed. That is a very different problem from the one destroying competitors. The cornerstone of Hyundai's US investment is the Hyundai Motor Group Meta Plant America in Bryan County, Georgia, already producing the Ioniq 5 and Ioniq 9, with plans to reach 500,000 electric and hybrid vehicles annually by 2028. The company is investing $6 billion in localizing EV components, including battery production and a new electric arc furnace steel mill in Louisiana. In April 2025, Hyundai Motor Group announced it would purchase tens of thousands of Boston Dynamics robots in the next few years, integrating them directly into its US manufacturing facilities, with Spot already deployed for quality inspection in the Georgia plant's weld shop. The $21 billion US investment is not charity. It is a tariff hedge, a supply chain hedge, and a political hedge simultaneously. By the time the trade environment settles, Hyundai will have one of the most localized production footprints in the American market. It will have qualified for domestic incentive programs, and it will have demonstrated to Washington that South Korean industrial capital builds American jobs. That is not a car company navigating trade policy. That is chaebol playing geopolitics. The margin pressure from tariffs is real, but the strategic position it is buying may be worth far more than the short-term cost. Cars are becoming the smallest part of this story. In June 2021, Hyundai Motor Group completed its acquisition of Boston Dynamics from SoftBank, valuing the mobile robotics firm at $1.1 billion and securing an 80% controlling stake. Boston Dynamics builds Spot, the four-legged inspection robot already deployed in industrial facilities worldwide. It builds Atlas, a humanoid robot capable of performing complex physical tasks in unstructured environments. Hyundai is committed to deploying Atlas across its own factories and is building Boston Dynamics into the world's leading manufacturer of advanced mobile robots. Hyundai is also developing Supernal, its urban air mobility division, working on electric air taxis designed for commercial operation in major cities. The hydrogen fuel cell program, running through the Nexo and heavy commercial vehicles, is positioning the group for a market that most Western analysts still treat as speculative. For 2026, Hyundai is targeting consolidated revenue growth of 1 to 2%, an operating profit margin of 6.3 to 7.3%, and total investment of 17.8 trillion won, including 7.4 trillion in research and development alone. That R&D figure is not being spent only on cars. By 2030, Hyundai is targeting 5.55 million global vehicle sales, an operating profit margin of 8 to 9%, and 77 trillion won in total group investments. The brand that American television once mocked for being untrustworthy with a car is now building the robots that will work alongside humans in factories, the aircraft that will move people above cities, and the hydrogen infrastructure that could underpin the next energy economy. The punchline has become the blueprint, and the rest of the world is only now realizing it has been watching the wrong company for the last 30 years. If this story is the kind of analysis you want more of, subscribe now. Every week we go inside the numbers that the mainstream financial press buries in the footnotes.